बहुत धन्यवाद। इसी अगली श्रृंखला में मिस्टर निकोलस लुआंग स्वी यांग जो सिंगापुर से हमारे पास जुड़े हुए हैं, नेशनल यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ सिंगापुर में जो अपना अध्ययन कर रहे हैं, वो यहाँ पर आकर के अपना वक्तव्य देंगे। उनका विषय द हर्षप्रमादिन प्रॉब्लम्स कंपेयरिंग मुक्ति एंड भुक्ति इन द पाशुपत-सूत्र एंड निश्वासतत्त्वसंहिता। तो मैं सादर आमंत्रित करती हूँ। वार्म वेलकम टू मिस्टर निकोलस। आर यू लिसनिंग मी, मिस्टर निकोलस?
Oh, hiya. I have slides. Do I just share them here? Oh. Can you see the slides? Oh, okay. Right. Let's see. Just gonna start the timer. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, please proceed.
Oh, okay. Right. Right, so Namaste, it's very lovely to meet all of you. Greetings from Singapore. So I'll be talking about the Harṣâpramādin problem. I'll be comparing Mukti and Bhukti in the Pāśupata-Sūtra and the Niśvāsatattvasaṃhitā. So in the 2016 study by Harinaga, Isaacson and Dominic Godol about the shared ritual syntax in the early tantric traditions, the two scholars highlighted that the two goals of tantric practice are Mukti, so the liberation from samsara, and Bhukti, so the supernatural enjoyments in this and other worlds. So these are the two goals, right? What's interesting is, of course, as I suppose we all know, Mukti and Bhukti are not unique to Tantra and are in fact shared by the other religious strands, Shaiva, Buddhist and so on. But of course, the context we're thinking about here, the late Gupta, post-classical, early medieval India, is a context where a lot of these ideas are developing and shaping each other. So the ideological relationship between the different strands isn't always very clear. So to try and clarify what's going on, in my presentation, I will be comparing Mukti and Bhukti in two texts, the ones I've mentioned here. So before I move on, I thought it would be good to just briefly discuss the context of the text. So the first text, the Pāśupata-Sūtra, together with Kaudinya's Pancha-arita Bhashya. So the dates we have for that are about 4th to 5th century, according to Peter Bishop, who is one of the scholars working on the Pāśupata-Sūtra. So, right, we're not so clear about the dates of the Pāśupata-Sūtra, but we can put together the Bhashya, the dates to the 4th to the 5th century. The other text is the one of the early Shaiva Tantras, possibly the earliest Shaiva Tantra we have, the Niśvāsatattvasaṃhitā. So the various sections of the text date from 450 CE to the end of the 7th century. This is according to Godol, Sanderson and Isaacson, who actually produced a critical edition of this text in 2015. The reason why the textual range is so great is because the Niśvāsa's Mula Sutra dates to about 450 to 550 CE, whereas the Guhya Sutra dates to much later. Right. So from this, I'll be arguing that although a comparison of the ideas of Mukti in both these texts confirms that they share a similar ideological milieu, both texts actually provide contrasting attitudes to Bhukti, and these contrasting attitudes reveal that the tantric texts still contributed their own ideological innovations and helped reify, differentiate themselves from the Atamaga and the other Shaiva schools. So even though these contexts are still shaping each other. So first, I'd like to talk about Mukti as it appears in both the texts. So the Pāśupata-Sūtra is. Should I allow somebody to annotate shared content? I'm not sure it's. No, okay, guess not. Let's see. So at 546 of the Pāśupata-Sūtra, the text talks about how we have this one cryptic verse, Shiva, and then in the Bhashya, there's an explanation of what is being discussed. So of course, what's being discussed here, by invoking Sada and Shiva, the end of suffering is eternal. So again, this is like the idea of Mukti. Right? Although the Pāśupata-Sūtra doesn't use the word Mukti, the word it uses is dukkha antaha. Oh, was I supposed to speak in Sanskrit? I was supposed to speak in English. Please. Let's see. Hello? Dr. Jha?
We'll proceed with English.
Oh, okay, I'll just keep going then. Right. And then for the other section, if you look at the Mula Sutra of the Niśvāsatattvasaṃhitā, it also discusses the idea of liberation from samsara. So at 5.1 of the Mula Sutra, Mukti tikshamato vakshye tasamasena me shrinu yamavapya vimuchyante Jahnavi tibihi. So I shall talk about the initiation that grants liberation. So liberation here being the word mukti, exactly as we expect. Listen to me as I tell of it in brief. Having attained that liberation, people, men, are free from birth, janma, death, mrityu, danger, bhaya, and so on, bhaya adi bihi, right? So, right. So that's mukti. What this demonstrates for us is that both these texts share a similar ideological world. But at the same time, what's interesting is that if we keep looking at Bhukti, we realize that these texts are actually different. And in order for us to be able to distinguish these texts from each other, I'd like to turn to the Harṣâpramādin problem, which I'm discussing here. So if you turn to 12 of the Pāśupata-Sūtra, we get this one cryptic word, Harṣâpramādin, and then in the Bhasha, there's a little discussion here by Kaudinya, and so he says that Harsha refers to the superhuman powers that are the effects of virtue, and the word for virtue here is dharma, and then the 64 variations whose 8 qualities begin with the power to become small, anima, mentioned in other scriptures. So this is a Pāśupata text discussing the various ways in which the practitioner, the sadhaka, gains magical powers. But then I'd like to point us to this last cryptic line. The practitioner gained intoxication by this harsha, but he becomes cautious of it. And that's where we get the word Harṣâpramādin, right? So apramadi, so cautious of harsha. Why would this be a thing? And that's where the problem is. You'd expect that in the text of the early tantric context, why would a Pāśupata text turn away, warn the sadhaka against the kind of magic powers that he's going to acquire? And so that's what I think is my entry point into this problem. And so if you turn to Bhukti, if we compare ideas of Bhukti, we'll realize that both these texts present very different perspectives. So again, if I turn to the Niśvāsatattvasaṃhitā, so at 719 in the C pada, we get the verse Anima Adi Guna Aishwaryam, so referring to the supernatural, superhuman quality starting with the power to become small. What's interesting is that the critical edition of the Niśvāsa actually points out that this verse here is actually an echo of what we see in the Pāśupata-Sūtra. So, where was I? Yeah, so here, again, Anima Adi Ashta Guna Aishwaryam. So you can tell that these texts are related to each other, talking to each other. And yet, if we turn back to the Varsha, that's where we see that actually, even though Bhukti is presented also in the Varsha, it's a very different perspective. It's completely different. And so it says here, having attained the power of instantaneous movement and joy through the observation of these precepts, the sadhaka, who is distinguished by pleasure and praise for his movement, so based on the magical powers he's gained, guards rakshate against these kinds of joy. I know that this is a tricky part of the text, and I actually had a lot of trouble translating it, so I'd be very grateful if all you, esteemed Sanskrit scholars could advise me on the translation. It seems that what's going on here is that, again, the sadhaka in Pāśupata-Sūtra is being warned against the magic powers he's going to gain. And my own speculation is that it's because for the Pāśupatas, Bhukti is not the goal. The point is Mukti, the point is to get out of samsara. So that's why they're not interested in the magical powers. And that's where we see that Tantra, if we go back to the Niśvāsa, is doing its own different ideological innovation. Because for Tantra, Bhukti is equally legitimate a goal as compared to Mukti. And that's why in the Guya Sutra, and I'm quoting Haranaga Isaacson here again, much later on, the Guya Sutra, which comes much later, there is actually a verse that explains how to gain control of another person by making like a statue of them using salt and then offering piece by piece into the fire. So in that way, it's a kind of like powerful ritual magic, which is very different from the kind of thing that's allowed in the Pāśupata. Right. So that's all I have. Thank you very much. Danya Vradaha.
Hello.
Okay, thank you.
थैंक यू वेरी मच. बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद. आपने जो पाशुपत दर्शन के बारे में बताया वो बहुत अद्वितीय जानकारी है. आपके शोध की जो डेप्थ है, इट इज वेरी गुड. हम तो यही कहेंगे, चूंकि आज चारों तरफ निराशा का माहौल है, कहीं न कहीं पूरे विश्व में यह चीज चल रही है, परंतु भारतीयों के लिए इससे जूझना या निकलना थोड़ा सा आसान होता है, क्योंकि हमारे जो आराध्य है, हम उनके लिए तो यही कहते हैं कि स्मशानेश्वा क्रीड़ा स्मरहर पिशाचः सहचरा चिता भस्मालेपः सृगपि न करोति परिकरः. जब शमशान भूमि वाले ही हमारे आराध्य है, तो फिर हम अमरों को भय कैसा. पाशुपत दर्शन हमेशा, शैविज्म हमेशा हमें निर्भय बनाता है, निर्भयता की ओर सिखाता है. भुक्ति और मुक्ति ये दोनों ही उनके दोनों हाथों में रहती है, और यही हमारी भारतीय संस्कृति की भी पहचान है. आप यहाँ पर हमारे अनुरोध से आए, आपका बहुत बहुत आभार. अंत में मैं एक आदि शंकराचार्य के मंत्र से ही इन सभी कार्यक्रम का अंतिम में समायोजन करना चाहती हूँ. इसके पश्चात मैं पाठक सर से भी निवेदन करूंगी कि वह आभार प्रदर्शन के लिए सादर आमंत्रित है. किम ज्योतिस्तव भान मानुहनिमे रात्रो प्रदीपादिकम स्यादेवं रविदीप दर्शन विधो किम ज्योति राख्याहिमे चक्षुस्तस्य निमीलनादि समये किम धीर धियो दर्शने किम तत्राह मतो भवान परमकम ज्योति स्वदस्मै प्रभो. तो हमारी अंतर ज्योति उस रवि के प्रकाश में, सूर्य के प्रकाश के न रहने पर, दीपक के प्रकाश न रहने पर, सर्वत्र अंधकारमय वातावरण होने के बाद भी हम आत्मवत, प्रदीपवत चलते रहे, हम प्रकाशित होते रहे, नवीन दिशाओं को प्रकाशित करके नवीन आयामों को, नवीन लक्ष्यों का अनुसंधान करते रहे.
A participant has joined the meeting. A participant has left the meeting. A participant has joined the meeting.
ये हम क्षमा प्रार्थी हैं, और मैं बहुत आदर के साथ डॉक्टर प्रोफेसर मुरली मनोहर पाठक सर को आमंत्रित करती हूँ. वो हमारे गुरु ही नहीं, गुरु के भी कई सारे हिस्से होते हैं. कुछ गुरु
A participant has left the meeting.
कुछ गुरु ऐसे होते हैं जो आजीवन